Fishing the Wild West TV with Wes David is brought to you by Tracker Boats, fish the finest. Adventure Destination International. Book your trip of a lifetime with Adventure Destination International in Thompson's Resort. Big Chief Meat Snacks. Big taste, big adventure. Along with Cam Clark Ford, the official vehicle of Fishing the Wild West TV.
Fishing the Wild West. She's getting a little western on the deck. I'm really excited for this week's episode. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time. We're going to fish walleye, which is my favorite species, but in the river systems. A lot of people don't realize that walleye are actually a river species. They've done well in the reservoirs and lakes, but they're right at home in the rivers. We're going to show you a few different techniques that I use for fishing the river systems on walleye. He picked it up right there. I was just thinking, I need to get my net ready. So what we're doing here, we're at Bill's Lake and we're fishing a couple different river systems. I've always wanted to do a river episode. We're going to show you 4 different techniques. This one here is where jig, we got a jig on there. We got a big sky jig and a big bite baits with the touring swim worm. It's white, resembles a lot of the minnows and different aquatic life that they're feeding on. And even though I got a jig on, we're not jigging because this is loaded with rocks. You can see all that chunk rock on the shore, that's also in the water. And if you sit there and jig, your jig obviously, as anyone who's fished river systems, hangs up. Let go. So it's a snake eye jig from Big Sky Jigs and that touring swim worm. And if you jig it, that's a great walleye. You know it's going to hang up in the rocks and you're going to be snagged, you're going to lose a lot of lures. So all we're doing is casting it out to those rocks, that big chunk rock out there, into the current. And as soon as it hits, I begin reeling. And if you can reel slow enough just where you can feel it bumping the rocks, that's perfect. But you want to swim just off the rocks. In this current, the water's coming from this way, going down river, and they're sitting here set up, just taking bait as it comes by. They're hidden in the rocks. I've caught them in 8 inches of water. And this is a great technique, whether you're up in northern Saskatchewan or on your home river. And we're going to show you 3 other techniques beside this one. We just repositioned and we're sitting in 4 feet of water, and this one came from maybe 1.5 feet, 2 feet of water. And they're just, you can see the coloration in them. They're dark and they blend into those rocks and they just hide in there like any predator. They hide in there and just dart out after a meal. And this style of fishing can be done any river system and even this is really good for shoreline anglers. And the 4 techniques that we're going to show you today is perfect for shoreline anglers in any river system that holds walleye.
This Gear Talk is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here.
So on my setup here for fishing current is I got 10-pound braid from Sunline Braids. I got the snake eye jig from Big Sky Jigs, and then the Touring Swim Pro, just a white with a paddle tail from Big Bite Baits. Palomar knot, tying it all together and just casting it out. And as soon as how shallow we're fishing here, as soon as it hits the water, I begin slow reeling until I feel it bump the rocks, rod tip up, and then just try to stay above those rocks. And you've seen the coloration of those fish. They're tucked in those rocks, blended in, and just darting out, getting meals, because the current is bringing them meals right to them, and they're just jumping out feeding. And again, this is typical wherever you are in the country of river walleye. They're a river, or walleye are a river species. They're very at home in the lakes they were introduced through the river systems. They've been stocked in reservoir systems, but they're actually a river fish, and they do really well in the fast-moving water. This little guy. We're gonna have a supper in the cabin tonight. One of those are gonna join us.
This segment has been brought to you by Rock Guard, protect your investment, and Power Pole, total boat control. Closed captioning is brought to you by Buzz Bomb Tackle, iconic sonic fishing lures, made in North America for over 50 years.
Can't tell you what it is yet, pike or walleye, but that F-bomb is performing. That F-bomb runs about 4 to 5 feet. And like I said, we're sitting in 5 feet, 4.5, 5 feet now, casting out to 7. So it's a perfect scenario for that F-bomb. Them fish are just picking it up as it comes by. You come up here to Bill's Lake, make sure you bring your rain suit with you, even if it's sunny when you leave the cabin. This is another nice walleye. And they're strong because they're used to fighting the current. So they're really strong. I'm gonna get that hook out of them first. Hang on, fella. Fat, holy man, are they just like as hard as a rock. And they're excellent for supper in the cabin. But we're gonna let him go and keep casting. Feels like another walleye. I could catch walleye all day, especially on crankbaits. It's something different. And in this scenario where it's really rocky and you're dealing with current, when you run jigs, if they get hung up in the rocks, you're hung up. Where this crankbait, you just give it some slack line, the current will free it for you. You don't lose as many lures. The hook came out. Be careful with those hooks. That's a little guy, but I wish you could feel how hard their body is. As hard as a rock. Eating like crazy. Make another cast, hopefully land another walleye. I could do this all day long. And like I said, I've had great luck. I don't normally use leaders, but because we can catch pike in here as well, but I've had a lot of luck with these F-bombs from Lucky Bug Lures, rivers, reservoirs, and lakes. Bottom bouncing even with these. They run about 5 feet, so they're perfect in this situation. But if you want to go deeper, say you're fishing 20 feet of water, you bottom bouncing walleye, tie them on behind your bottom bouncer. We got the motor lift up and we're just letting the current take, and we're just casting almost like sight fishing. Just casting to targets, rocks, anything that may hold a walleye. We're at the mercy of the current. This is a really good walleye. I want to show him to you. Perfect. Get him out of there and I'll show him to you. It's a nice walleye. That's what an F-bomb from Lucky Bug Lures in the river, in the current, can do. That's a great walleye. Hard as a rock. Cold water walleye, shallow water, lots of rocks. Throw the F-bomb because it's really buoyant, and even if it does hang up in the rocks, the current will usually wash it out and you can carry on. Casted right back to where I just landed that one I just showed you. Reeled it. Got another one. I'm casting up into probably 4 feet of water and just swimming it. We're in a pool now of 8 feet. And I'm just swimming it from the shallows to the deep water. And they are hitting it. That's, again, I got a leader on there because there's pike in here, but that's the F-bomb from Lucky Bug Lures. Ask for it by name. That's a beautiful golden walleye. Love how dark they are here. Blend right into the rocks. You can't see them. Every now and then you'll see the white tip of their tail swimming, but they blend in like crazy.
This segment has been brought to you by Hooked Magazine, hooked on fishing in the great outdoors, and Lucky Bug Lures. Get hooked on Lucky Bug Lures. Welcome back to Fishing the Wild West TV.
So here's another great technique for fishing the river systems is bobber fishing for walleye. We do a lot of bobber fishing, or I do anyway, for trout, different trout species. Oh. And I've done a lot for walleye fishing. My favorite way to bobber fish is with a live leech. You can let that leech down there on a short shank, big sky jig, under the bobber, and just let it do its thing. But here, we're using big bite baits, just a plastic. And one of the real keys to this is a liquid mayhem, the scent, because we don't have that swimming action right now. It's just bouncing around under a bobber. Hang on, fella, we'll let you out. I'll show you what we're using. Really shallow bobber fishing is what we're doing. Got that right in the cartilage of his mouth. It's a great walleye in the river, letting the current do the work. So all we have here is a big sky jig. I've got a big bite bait. I got it so it swims down like this, so it looks like a fish. I'm adding some liquid mayhem for scent, and that scent trail's carrying down. And then just a simple bobber under about roughly 3 feet. And then I got a tiny, tiny little split shot, and I'm just letting the current, I'm just letting it out there and letting the current take it, and they're pulling it under when they're ready. Right at the edge of the boat. He wasn't very far at all, like literally 2 fishing rod lengths. And he just takes that bobber. It's incredible in the river systems. And I don't care how old you are. I started out bobber fishing when I was a little kid. And I still get excited when I see that bobber go under. Perfect, he spit that out. So there it is. Walleye crack jig from Big Sky Jigs. A little bit of plastic with some liquid mayhem on it. This is really key when you're dealing with scent. Great walleye under the bobber. I'm gonna put it back out there right away. Like he was literally right there. It's like we're parked on top of him. Got one right here under the bobber. And don't think bobber fishing is just for trout or for kids. Works incredible for walleye in the river systems. I've used the bobber in 25 feet of water and here in 4 feet of water. Get him out and show him to you. Come on, buddy. Just a little jig, just heavy enough to hold the bobber up, and let the current current takes it, the little ripples and current also create the jigging action, the motion. It's an excellent setup, again, from a boat and current, from shoreline. Shoreline anglers can have great success with this system for a variety of species. Again, it's not just for rainbow trout or any trout species. Bobbers are great for walleye as well. Man, it's a lot of fun. I get just as excited when that bobber goes under as I did when I was 6 years old. Don't horse him. He's got that hook in his mouth. Just take your time and enjoy. There. Great looking river walleye. Look how dark they are across the back. They blend in with those rocks. That moving water. I might do this all day long. I'm really enjoying this. Back to the basics. Simple, fun fishing.
This segment has been brought to you by AQ Outdoors, striving to be Canada's leading paddle sports resource, and Jackson Adventures. We are Jackson Kayak. This segment is brought to you by Big Sky Flies and Jigs, tackle you can trust, and Tourism Saskatchewan. Start planning your visit today.
Now we're out here showing you, or hoping to show you, the extremes current that walleye will be in. Like I said, they're a river fish. We're here in northern Saskatchewan and wanted to come and fish the fast current for walleye, which a lot of people don't. Current is often overlooked for walleye, especially fast current. But it's a great way to get into literally untouched walleye. And that's right, they're all right in this edge here, and then coming out to slack water, just like trout. What I wanted to show you, what I picked here, was a buzz bomb from Buzz Bomb Lures. The reason being is it's narrow profile, can come through the rocks when I'm jigging it or swimming it through the rocks, but it's also heavy enough to get down quick before the current takes my lure away. Once it's down in the current does the work for me. That's spinning on the line, creating that flash and vibration, picking up the walleye. Buzz bombs for extreme current are an incredible lure for walleye. Right here at the boat. Again, look at the current, fast current. And then we're just tucked into the side here, just where they get a current break, and all they're doing is feeding on anything that gets in this wash. And they're darting out and grabbing it, just like a trout species. Great little walleye in here feeding, trying to stay out of the way of the pike. But again, the biggest thing is the food source that's being brought to them. Cast it right up to the edge of that white water. Now, this technique with the buzz bombs can not only work on the river systems, but even your favorite reservoir when they're releasing water into the reservoir, inlets, outlets of any lake or reservoir. This all works great. And these buzz bombs are not just for trout. They're a great current bait for any species. Ouch. He's got that down there. He hit it twice and I felt him, and I just dropped it back to him. Again, right off the edge of that white water. And this buzz bomb gets in there and gets swimming, bouncing off the rocks, and they got to act on it fast because the current's there. But this allows This buzz bomb allows the bait to stay in the strike zone longer so they got a chance to hit it. That time I did a combination of swimming it back towards me and stopping, jigged it once, and then swam again, and he took it as soon as it took off. Basically, all I have to do to have non-stop walleye action here is just cast out and that buzz bomb do the work for you. The current just forcing against it and creating that spinning and that vibration, and they got to make a decision to feed. Again, when you're faced with any current conditions, try the buzz bomb. It's heavy to get down there, narrow to get through the rocks, and it's always spinning. The current is actually making the lure perform better than what you can. Tie it on, set the hook on some walleye. I hope you get a chance to try a few of these techniques on your local river system, wherever you live in the country. That's this week's episode. If you like what you're seeing, follow us on social media or through the pages of Hooked Magazine. I'm your host, Wes David, Fishing the Wild West TV. Right at the boat. Oh, that's because it's a pike, he chased it up. I wonder my walleye fishing turned off a little. This guy was in there.
Follow us on social media or at fishingthewildwesttv.com.